Hello and welcome to On the Road with Legal Talk Network. I'm John Simek and it's a pleasure to be here with you. Today we are recording from the Expo Hall floor at ABA TECHSHOW 2020 in Chicago, Illinois. Joining me now, I have Lincoln Mead and Sharon Nelson. So welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having us. It's an honor to be here.
I don't see you near often enough, so I'm really happy to be here with you, John.
Gee, thanks. So before we get on to our topic, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you work, what you do, as if a lot of us don't already know. So we'll start with you, Lincoln.
Sure. I am the IT project manager and client engagement manager for Canon Discovery. We build e-discovery and litigation support tools for firms around the country. They have me primarily focused on engineering technologies related to that.
Well, that's great. And I'm actually disappointed you're not wearing a kilt today, Lincoln. So,
well, they can't see, so.
You know, it's 10 degrees outside.
Give him the kilt. Tell him he's got a kilt on. That's fine.
Kilt's not going to do a lot for me in this weather. What's a nice thought?
So what about you, Sharon?
Well, as you know, I am the president of Sensei Enterprises, and we do digital forensics, cybersecurity, and information technology. And I'm also a practicing attorney, past president of the Virginia State Bar, and having a good time here at ABA TECHSHOW.
So you two folks just got done doing the Deepfakes session, and let's start with you, Lincoln. Give our listeners a little baseline here and kind of describe what the heck is a deepfake to begin with.
Sure. I mean, it's been described in the media, but it's primarily focused around video. And what it should be, maybe a broader range for it, is synthetic media, which is any audio, video, or even text-based information that has been created by some type of AI tool or AI augmentative tool. The goal for it is a variety of things. There are deep fake tools or synthetic media tools that are just there to entertain. The Cameo app or the Mona Lisa app, putting your face inside the Mona Lisa. Those are things where they're socially acceptable. But unfortunately, the where it's being used in more hostile format are taking detailed representations of people's appearance, their face, their voice, their gestures, and mapping them onto an AI composite image or video. Some of that is political in nature. We've seen a lot of political deepfakes. Some of that's sexual in nature. We've seen a lot of stories about revenge porn, fake videos, extortion attempts using things like that. But basically, it's an AI-based technology used to create a false image or a false presentation of information.
So that sounds very Hollywood-y, if that's a word. But
that's the genesis for our title for Red Pill, Blue Pill. I mean, because you for those of you that are familiar with the film The Matrix, that was the fundamental question: are you going to accept a false reality or go a little bit further in terms of determining what a truth might be?
So speaking of the reality, what about in the real world, Sharon? Does this have any implication? Have we seen any cases where this has been involved?
We have seen cases of wire fraud. We have seen cases where somebody who has the authority to authorize a wire, his voice was imitated in a deepfake audio. The person who was authorized to actually send the wired money believed that they were hearing the voice of their boss. And so they sent £220,000 to somewhere where, of course, it promptly disappeared, but got suspicious when the same guy started talking about more transfers of monies, and at that point they didn't do any more, but of course the original £220,000 was gone. We've also seen in family law, we have seen a deepfake audio introduced in a United Kingdom court where the husband was not permitted to see the children because of a violent, threatening audio that he had supposedly talked to the wife and had these terrible threats. And it turned out the wife had bought a software program, inexpensive, and she'd watched some tutorials, and she created the deepfake audio. But fortunately for the guy, he had the original of the audio, so they were able to present that, and of course things went very well for him after that.
Yeah, and I'm sure Legal Talk Network is not going to provide a link for that software in the show notes. So Lincoln, what about detecting what these things are, right? How hard is that? Can it be detected? Is it getting that good?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the big struggle with everyone. Right now, the tools are centered around creation of these, and sometimes for fun and sometimes for nefarious purposes. And it's reached a point where people are saying, "Yeah, this is a problem and it needs to be solved." To solve it is the same process by which they're created, training AI tools and techniques and developing techniques for those AIs to evaluate a video, an audio, or text to determine whether or not it's authentic or not. The big key on that, and where a lot of research is being devoted, is on assembling databases of examples of deep fakes, showing why they're fake, how they're fake, teaching AIs to recognize these patterns, and to make a determination or evaluation on whether or not these are authentic. It's a big struggle right now because it's turned into a bit of an arms race, and to be honest, the defenders are trying to catch up. And it's going to be a slog to get through just by the nature of the technology and how it's being used.
So Sharon, one last question, and the big takeaway, I think, for a lot of lawyers here at TECHSHOW is, what do they need to know about these deep fakes, and what's going to be the impact on their practices?
Well, I think the first thing is immediate, and that is the 2020 elections. That's the thing we're all concerned about. There is no rule of law if everybody believes fake news and fake deep fakes and things like that. So the rule of law is definitely threatened. The outcome of the election, people aren't going to have faith, perhaps, in exactly how we got to wherever we get. So that's going to be an issue. And in their practices, they're going to have to know where deep fakes and audio fakes or video fakes, they're going to have to know how to present evidence. They're going to have to find somebody who actually knows, in particular cases, how they can testify that forensically they have proven that something is or is not a deep audio or video fake. And that's a challenge because our tools are not yet 100%. They're not there. So this is an ongoing learning curve for the practicing lawyer who's involved with some of this stuff.
Well, we've reached the end of the road for this episode. I want to thank Lincoln and Sharon for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Well, very happy to spend time with you, John, and of course you, Lincoln, and Lawrence. Thank you, Lawrence.
Thanks, Lawrence.
So if our listeners have questions or they want to follow up, how can they reach you? First you, Lincoln.
They can reach me via Twitter, just there at Lincoln Mead, also available through LinkedIn, and be glad to answer any questions that come by.
Sharon?
S. Nelson at Sensei, SENSEIENT.com. That's the easiest way to reach me.
And also, thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please rate us and review us in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app. I'm John Simek. Until next time, thank you for listening.
All right, that's a wrap. That's a wrap.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.